So this is about the best you can get for $1,250. A complete system, this is what we're doing here, complete systems for $1,250 or a lot less. Sometimes, to be honest, a little bit more. But all the prices quoted, unless otherwise noted, are full retail prices. So you may get a discount or two here and there, and that'll nudge it back under $1,250, the target price. So I'm going to do this in two groups. Speakers first. And by the way, the speaker prices start at $500 a pair. And then I'm going to do electronics, meaning amplifiers. And those are going to start at around $349. And then I'm going to throw in a turntable and a DAC and a phono preamp and stuff. But there's a lot of information here, a lot of really good stuff. You've never had it so good. That's it. You've never had it so good for this much money. Sound quality has never been better for these dollars or euros or however you're buying these things. This is the good stuff. First up, the JBL Stage A170 tower speakers. They're skinny little guys, but they don't sound skinny. They have a kind of nice weight to them. They got some oomph, especially in that mid-bass area that a lot of speakers shortchange. This guy doesn't. Tweeter's forgiving. It doesn't sound like what you would think a JBL speaker would sound like in the 21st century, but it's got a heart. That's what I think what makes it really stand out. And it's $500 a pair, but you can get them for around $400 a pair. So it's a good place to start in this little journey. But next up is my Speaker of the Year for 2018, or it was, but it's still a biggie for me, and that is the Klipsch RP600M. It's a bookshelf speaker, as you can plainly see. It's got a big horn there, a Tractrex horn, 6.5-inch woofer, $550 a pair. But they have magic in there. They do magic. They do life, dynamics, wham bam, power delivery. They can startle you. That's what makes them special. They can make you sit up and take notice, and they did that for me many, many times. What are they not perfect at? Well, no speaker is perfect, but I would say their shortfall is that they don't make a lot of bass. Their bass that's there is fast and clear, but it doesn't go deep. You don't feel it in your chest. But I have a cure coming up for that pretty soon, and it's not a subwoofer. So next on my list is the Tecton Mini Lure. It's made in the US, has an 8-inch woofer. It's kind of a short, squat tower speaker. It's super easy to drive, works well with low-powered amps or little tube amps and stuff. It's warmish balanced, but very alive, and as I say, really easy to drive. So, oh, and the price. The price is it's currently on sale for $575 a pair with free shipping in the United States. Outside the United States, well, I'm going to link to the website and you can call them what the deal is outside the US. Next up, the Emote Eva T1 Plus tower speaker. Now the big difference here is that this one has a folded ribbon tweeter, an air motion transformer tweeter. And I think the top end really is more refined, clearer, doesn't shout at you. It's not saying, look at all the detail. It's not that kind of tweeter. It's just there. It just goes about its business without calling attention to itself. It's $699 a pair. It's a three-way, so it's got a 5.25-inch mid-range and two 6-inch woofers. I have two ELACs they're brothers in arms. First one is the debut F5.2. It's a floor-standing speaker with what looks like three woofers, but one of those woofers is actually a mid-range, and there's a soft dome tweeter. The woofers and mid-range are 5.25-inch drivers. That one goes for $600 a pair. Next one up in the line, which kind of squeezes in this story today, is the debut F6.2, which is $800 a pair. And in its place of the 5.25, you get 6.5-inch drivers. So there's three, but the top one is a mid-range, etc., etc. They sound like ELACs, which is good. a very well-balanced design. I almost forgot about this one, but the KEF Q350. I reviewed it for CNET a while back, and it's kind of like the little brother of the KEF LS50 that you guys know and love, or many of you do. But curiously, this one is almost like half the price. It's $700 a pair. The LS50 is around $13. Of course, they both use KEF's concentric drivers. That's what the company's famous for, right? But the 350 has the larger driver. It's 6.5 inches versus the LS50's 5.25 inch driver. It's a brawnier, more rock and roll kind of speaker than the LS50. Speaking of concentric drivers, then there's the other elect that's part of this survey, the UB5. And that one's $500 a pair. It's probably the smallest speaker in this survey, but it doesn't sound small. It looms large. So it's got the 1-inch soft dome tweeter, 4-inch concentric aluminum mid-range, and an aluminum 5-inch woofer. But here's the catch with the UB5 is it's kind of hard to drive. Its sensitivity's on the low side. It's a 4 ohm load. It needs a lot of current to get up and go. So a normal $500 receiver ain't going to cut it. I would recommend, of all the amps that are following the second part of this story, I would say the Outlaw Audio RR2160 would be my first choice, and my second choice would be the Yamaha AS801 integrated amp. More about them coming up. But anyway, with fed properly, the UB5 is killer. Its imaging is just so precise. It's a really amazing speaker. It still surprises me how good it is. So for you fans of the Klipsch RP600M, but you want more oomph from your speaker, we got the speaker for you. So it's the Klipsch RP5000F. It's a floor standing speaker, got the same sort of Tractrix horn tweeter, but instead of the 600M single 6.5 inch woofer, the 5000F has two 5.25 inch woofers, but they're in a much larger cabinet. So this speaker's got more oomph, more balls, it's more rock and roll, it's more satisfying. You don't need to use it with a subwoofer. So I mean, I still think the 600M has some kind of magic that the 5000F doesn't quite have. Oh, the last part of this survey is the Magna LRS flat panel ribbon speaker. It's called, the LRS is for Little Ribbon Speaker. Well, this speaker is a serious audiophile speaker that sells for $650 a pair. It's made in the US, but it is the most incredibly transparent speaker I've heard for anywhere near that price. If it was double that price, I'd say it would be incredible. In a lot of ways, it's my favorite Magna pan. I've lived with much larger. This one just has something to it that really gets my juices flowing. Its imaging is so precise. It is so open sounding. It's got a great sound stage. The bass is what's there, and it's not, I wouldn't call it bass shy. It goes down to around 50, but it's very fast bass. It's incredible. Okay, so here's the problem with the LRS. Two problems, actually. First problem is it needs a healthy amplifier to get going. So again, we're back to the Outlaw RR2160 as the ideal match in this survey, which definitely puts you over the target price of $1,250 for the complete system. Now the other thing is it needs space. You can't jam it up against the wall. No dipole speaker wants to sound up against the wall or even a foot away from the wall. It's not going to really do justice to what this speaker can sound like. So 3 feet is what I would recommend. But look, they're light. You can push them up against the wall when you're not listening, pull them out when you're listening. I think they weigh like 12 pounds or something. So moving around simple, but you can't expect them to do what they can do when they're close up against a wall. So now we're going to proceed ahead to the, say, part 2 of this video. But I've already shown my hand that the Outlaw Audio RR2160 is just so good, so strong. It's $850, but it's got real power. It's 110 watts per channel. It's a beast. When you pick that up, you know this is the real deal. It's a Class AB amplifier. It can safely drive 4 ohm loads. It has bass management, meaning it makes it extra easy to integrate a subwoofer with smaller speakers, or in this case maybe the LRSs. It's got great connectivity. It doesn't have the HDMI inputs and switching that the Onkyo does. Yeah, which leads to the Onkyo. The Onkyo TX8270 stereo receiver has HDMI switching. That's pretty rare. I can't think of anything else. And it's $500. It has Bluetooth, it has Wi-Fi, it has a subwoofer output, it's 100 watts a channel. It's an amazingly fully featured product, but it's the HDMI switching that everybody's asking for all the time and pretty much never get, certainly in a product at this price range. It's a stereo component. Moving to more conventional things, I would say the Nad C316 BEE deserves your consideration. First of all, it was my reference budget integrated amplifier forever, for years and years and years. Current price is $449. It's 40 watts a channel. It has a phono input, which the older version of the 316 didn't have. It's a very nice amplifier. It has a remote control. Speaking of remote controls, here's the odd one in this survey, and that is the Vista Spark. It's a tiny little amplifier, 20 watts, but it's a Class AB amplifier, minimalist. There's no remote control. There's only 2 inputs, but it's a beautiful sounding amplifier. It would sound great with the Klipsch's or the Mini Lure from Tecton. It's a really nice little guy. Then there's the Cambridge Audio AXA 35. It's $349, so it's the least expensive fully featured amplifier in this survey. It has a phono input. It's 35 watts a channel. It's Class AB, has a remote control. It sounds nice. It sounds to me nicer than the NAD 316. Nudging over to the warmer side of neutral, which I like. I think the NAD by comparison is on the cooler side. And it's a little less expensive, so that may tilt the balance for some people. And now in part 3 of this video for today, this extended episode of the Audiophiliac Daily Show, just finishing up with some, let's just call them accessories for this system. And the first one is, if you're into vinyl and you don't already have a turntable and your budget is tight because you spent all this money on the speakers and the amp, I strongly recommend the Fluence RT80. It's what is it, $170. It's a belt drive turntable. Build quality is exceptionally solid for this kind of money. The arm is nice, comes with an Audio-Technica cartridge. If you're into that, and even though some of these amplifiers I talked about have built-in phono preamps, a step up from whatever's out there for this kind of money would be the Shit Manny phono preamp, which is $129. It accepts moving magnet and moving coil cartridges. But more important than that, it sounds really, really good. It's far and away the best sounding budget phono preamp I've ever heard. For double the price, for 3 times the price. You can't top it. And if you're into digital, and you want to eke out a little bit more from any of these systems, I recommend getting the Shit Modi DAC, which is $99, and it would be money well spent. So I think that kind of puts a cap on things for today. As always, I want to hear your feedback. If you like these videos I do, please subscribe. Hit that button right over there and subscribe. When you do, make sure you get the bell thing, and then you'll be notified every time there's a new episode of the Audiophiliac Daily Show. You can follow me on Twitter at AudiophiliacMan. But here's the really amazing part. Check out, and people don't use them enough, check out the playlist. There's playlists for speaker reviews, for headphone reviews, for music reviews, and interviews with audio luminaries like Nelson Pass and Andrew Jones and John Grado. They're all in there. And then there's the Audiophiliac of the Day, where everybody, everyday audiophiles get to show off their systems and talk about their systems. There's really cool stuff in there. If I'm, tooting my own horn, check out those playlists. And last but not least, if you've gotten this far in this extremely long episode, check out my Patreon at patreon.com/audiophiliac. Thanks for watching.